Welcome, everyone, to another RGL cast. My name is Jared. I'm here with Spacios to bring you guys G6 versus Witness Gaming. This is, as I reload the page, RGL Invite 6's Season 9, Week 2A. It doesn't take too long for us to get into the heavy hitters. We've seen this matchup actually time and time again. It's probably a matchup that you'd be likely to see in playoffs, but we get a sneak peek in the regular season to go ahead and see what these teams are like head-to-head early on when they're still trying to figure everything out and recuperate after an off-season. Space, you ready for this one?
I am ready. It's always really exciting to see G6 versus Witness. We've seen some barn burners in the past, as they say, and definitely hoping to see a good one tonight. Rosters are a little different, and but the map is a little familiar. We have, I think many of us have seen Process before. Definitely a staple in the sixes map meta. So should be a good match. Really interesting to see what's going to happen out there.
Yep, baby's first 5 CP. It's the intro even when you start playing newbie mixes. That's like the first map that you ever really get to play on. So it's the classic. No one's really throwing out any new strats here, but you still have to refine what you know to the best of your ability and figure out which avenue you want to take to try to take down that enemy team with whatever play style fits you best. But you talked about rosters. It's probably a good idea to go ahead and make sure everyone's aware of the changes that can happen in an off season. I'll go ahead and go over the side of Witness Gaming, who will be sparking no changes compared to the last stint in playoffs, which is going to be High Five and Brand Slam on Scout, Ash and Laz on Soldier, Otters on Demo, and Logai on Medic.
And for like a G6, we have Bot Mode, aka Bomo, on Scat. We have Caps on Scat. We have Soapy Meister and Kobe 1920 on Soldier. We have Logan on Demo and Zilly on Medic. So, on G6 we have mostly familiar faces, but one pretty new face in Kobe 1920. It's not his first time in Invite, but definitely, if things go according to plan, this is going to be his first, full season of Invite. So
yeah,
very nice to see new faces.
For those who don't quite remember, or I think it was maybe like mid-season or maybe near the end. I don't know. Either way, Rakuso left. I think Zilly took his spot, and then on Roamer, and now he's kind of swapped over to the medic role with Howard departing, and they get Kobe instead. For those who don't know Kobe, he was I think he's been in advanced finals twice. He's won once. I think season 7 or 8 it was. He tried to move up with his team, and it didn't really work out. The Milky's team died in maybe around week 3 or so. So, he's had some experience in Invite a couple weeks. He's certainly a part of the Puggin culture to, get the tryouts and have his name out there to be able to immediately get picked up on a playoff team for what would hopefully be his first full season. But I think at this point, everyone's they're not too shy to go ahead and pick up new blood. It's worked out a lot for a lot of different teams. I think in a long time, Artis is going to be the first example of, pick up someone who hasn't played a full season Invite yet and find a whole lot of success. So who knows, maybe Kobe's going to fill that role for G6 as well.
Yeah, definitely a newer trend that might be developing here. Picking up some high DM kind of unproven players who you think you can kind of mold and mesh and work with the team, and over the course of the season, as long as the rest of your core is good enough to good enough to win you some games, by the time playoffs rolls around, they should be in pretty good shape. So definitely a kind of a new trend. And yeah, I guess we could talk about the map a little bit. There's also I guess Zilly's technically new on the not on the roster, but swapping to his I think his original main medic.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, Zilly's original main medic. Very accomplished and standout on medic. So that's always nice to see him on that class.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how it's going to change their playstyle a little bit, because a lot of the time when Zilly is on medic for his teams, he's very vocal, and he's even, one would even say maybe like the main caller for a lot of the teams he's played for. So I don't really know how that's going to change structurally for G6 at all. Like if they're going to let Zilly give him some of the control of the team, or if he's just going to be like playing the medic class and the ball's still going to be in, I assume, to be like Caps' court, like the pocket scout. So I guess we'll kind of see that dynamic unfold over time. Maybe not necessarily through the streams because we don't have comms, but people figure it out as time goes on. I know who's calling the shots really, but going to process for the first map we talked about. It's very classic, not a really whole lot to hide. The last time these two teams played process was playoffs round 1 of last season. Granted, of course, the rosters were a little bit different. We'll go over the scores for that a little bit later because I want you guys to be able to get your predictions in without me biasing that previous game that was played. But it's kind of interesting looking at the bans, because sometimes you see bans go out where it's very patterned, like, oh, this team banned all the Koth maps, This team banned all the upset maps. This team banned all the soldier maps, but it's kind of split a little bit. I don't think there's a very big theme to like look at G6. You have them ban Granary, which is a nightmare for scouts, but then you ban Viaduct, which is a scout playground. And the same could be said when you compare the Witness Gaming bans of Gully Wash and Sunshine. There's like a very stark contrast here that makes me feel like that they didn't have serious targeted bans and just kind of been like, oh yeah, we're not really that good at this map. Let's just eliminate it. So, which I guess is to be expected when you're talking about high-level playoff teams. They don't really have big weaknesses. If anything, they're just trying to play to really niche strengths.
Yeah, and it also could be, I think, especially this early season, I think some teams might doing their pick bans like, oh, let's get some practice on X maps. So they just try to leave those maps in the pool to see what they need practice on. So definitely could be a case of that as well. You never know. But yeah, I was looking at the map bans myself and I was like, damn, these are kind of all over the place. Like, it'd make a lot more sense if like you swap G6's ban of Product with Witness's Badlands. I think it makes much more sense there because then you're like banning like a Pug map and the two Brewer maps. But again, it's all over the place. So who really knows? Regardless, process definitely familiar ground for both teams. So again, I don't think we're really going to see too much in terms of any game shaking meta shifts, but definitely maybe some smaller niche strats could come out. Never know. Maybe I feel like especially on last holds, if you're going to see anything new, any new tech, it's probably either a mid or a last hold by this point.
Yeah, it's always really interesting because as you transition from talking about the map like bans all the way to whatever is going to be coming out for both the teams at the beginning of the season, this is when you're kind of in uncharted territory. Maybe slightly less so when it comes to Witness because they kept the roster the same, but definitely for the side of G6 where you're trying to figure out how your team is going to gel. You're trying to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are for the maps and what your playstyle is going to overall be. And the same could be said for trying to make sure you're prepared for the other team. It's one thing to make sure that you have your stuff together, but it's a whole other thing to try to make sure that you are prepared for whatever you think the other team is bringing to the table. And when we're in what is week 2, you might necessarily be sure what the other team is actually going to be doing for a whole lot of their maps. Like, sure, it's process. Whatever you do see them try to do, it's nothing new. You've seen it before, but of all the options they have on the table, which one are they gonna come out of the gates with? You want to know their tendencies, you want to know play style type deal. So I think that's going to be something really interesting to look at, more so for the side of G6 because there's slightly more of a question mark. But who knows? Maybe Witness changes up some things in an attempt to try to get another victory. Maybe you eventually come to a point where things shift around a bit. So we'll see how that happens. They did technically they're in a slightly different era with High Five on Scout, even though it's not really new per se. Although it's not the biggest change, it's only a slight change.
Yeah.
So
I definitely think. Actually, before I go off on a tangent, one thing I feel like neglected to mention was I believe is Logan new to the roster this season as well. I forget Logan on demo.
No, Logan's.
He was there last
been
season. Okay,
Yeah.
I just my memory is failing me, so
It happens to the best of us.
it does.
But one thing that we did forget last time, I think it's important to probably mention. We forgot to mention this in last cast. We're playing with a 5-minute run timer for this season.
Last time was Koth.
Yeah, I think last time was Koth. The time before that, the Gully Wash match.
We didn't mention it. Yeah, 5
we
minute
mentioned
timers.
it we were 5 minutes in, and we were like, oh, we forgot to mention.
I didn't notice. I looked at the time and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, the round timers have changed from 10 minutes to 5 minutes, so that if a team does decide to just do nothing, we aren't bored for 9 minutes. We're bored for maybe 3, and that's a bit better for everyone involved. So it'll be a ultimately beneficial change, but it might be more interesting in terms of might be more spots where a team is willing to stall to prevent a team from pushing. Just let the timer run out type deal. So you might see especially on last, a team will just say, screw it, we're holding last. We'll want to do another fight rather than try to push out. So we'll see how that dynamic comes into play. But it's important to mention it now and not in the middle of the match like last week. So glad we got that out of the way.
But I think it definitely could lead to interesting circumstances where you see those kind of full send, they have Uberad and are holding last because they just want to reset the mid. And so the one team just full sends because there's no reason not to. I think we could see a lot more interesting scenarios like that. So I think my full opinion on the lower round timer is yet to be determined, but so far I have not had any complaints. It seems to just make the game more interesting, which as a spectator, I am not going to complain about.
All right, well, we're starting to have some G6 players join the server, which is good news. So we're probably inching closer to the start time. But we talked a little bit about the map. Um, I guess before we go deep into Preds, I guess the final thing is as the off class extraordinaire. Do you expect a whole lot of that between these two teams? They have a couple off classers.
They do. I feel like bot mode's known pretty well. I don't know how much in terms of like him spending time off classing, but I have a lot of notable memories of bot mode doing very successfully while off classing. So if he does off class, I'm expecting big things out of bot mode. I feel like historically he's been very good at it.
I would agree.
On the side of Witness Gaming, I feel like they're not traditionally super off class heavy. Like I feel you might see like High Five or like maybe the Ash go off class, but even then, I feel like I only really see Ash off classing if there's like some mean things happening.
It's very occasional.
Yeah, it's always a treat though. I do enjoy the rare and famed Ash or High Five off class.
All right, well, it's time to get the Preds in. When it comes to the numbers, we already got some people in chat and trying to put out their predictions of what they think the end score is going to be. But what's calling to you? What do you feel in space?
I It's hard to bet against Witness Gaming here because they've had roster stability for multiple seasons now, and I feel like they've proven that they are very very good at this map. So it's going to be very hard to bet against them. So I'm gonna say I think they're gonna win the match. The question is by how much are they gonna win? Is it gonna be a close one? Is it gonna be one of those matches where it was close but the score doesn't really indicate it? Like we've seen a couple of those in the past, definitely.
Mhm.
Or could it just be a roll? So definitely gonna be hard to tell. I think if I had to predict how this match is gonna go, it's gonna be the way that the rounds are close, but it might not necessarily show up on the scoreboard. I think it's gonna be a back and forth, but with Witness pulling it in the end. So a 5-2 for Witness.
I think for me, for my prediction, it's a bit tough because there's a lot of variables when it comes to G6's side because I kind of want to bring it back to I really don't know how their dynamic is going to change with Zilly on Medic and their calming structure because that can make or break a push, like whether or not you decide to push at all or like which door you go through and the timing of everything. So it's kind of hard to say exactly how good they're going to be this season in comparison to the season prior. If you do have a big change like that, um, it might not be any change at all. But it's yet to be seen really until we actually ask them like how they feeling about the way their team is operating. But if you compare it to the last time they played, which I said before was playoffs round one, Witness Gaming 5-0 rolled G6 like nobody's business. And I wouldn't say that I don't know if this roster gives them what they need to have that not happen. Maybe it does, but we just don't really know yet. So it makes me feel like that even while G6 is getting their stuff together, the only thing they really have going for them is the fact that Witness Gaming might not necessarily know what they're going to bring to the table either. Like, I think it's really
Yeah.
easy in general for just 5 CP. You throw out a surprise mid, the other team wasn't expecting to hard counter or anything. You get a nice little victory off, a decent last twist, boom, you got a round. I think it might be a bit harder because that's a playoffs score, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's the most recent, it's a playoff score. You had an entire season to scrim against a team and figure them out for the most part.
Yeah.
But
And
with a
both
little
teams felt
bit,
confident to leave it in the pool.
yeah, but with a little bit more unknown, I think it's easier to sneak in rounds, even if you're considered an underdog. I will kind of go the way of maybe like a 5-1 for G6, but who knows? There's no telling what's happening. There's way too many variables, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to predict, but I think that I think Witness definitely. I'd consider it an upset if Witness lost this. I think it's gonna be close because I think G6 is still a very good team. They have a lot of good players, but I think it's a little too early in the season for me to expect them to fully come out of the gate swinging and really give Witness a really good run for their money. I think this is gonna be one of those matches where they're just trying to coalesce for the end of the season when they're all they've had time playing together. The new players have meshed. I think that's when we'll see some really big things. But for now, it's again hard to bet against Witness Gaming. And you did mention the mids. And speaking of the mids, I guess we could shift a little bit to the map talk once we're done with the Preds. How do you feel about the mids and the map personally, especially with some of these new players? Do you think that the mids are going to be an issue maybe for G6?
Uh, maybe. I think the thing is with the side of Witness, at least for G6's sake, is I'm not gonna be convinced that Witness Gaming's style of mid is going to change much until we actually see it. They obviously they change things up slightly and do things a little bit different every time, but for the most part, their core strategy hinges on Laz actually succeeding with whatever he's trying to do. Which for the most part he can, but if they hardcore shut him down, that could be a easy path to victory when it comes to the mid fights in particular. And it's hard to say exactly how effective Witness Gaming is going to like play, because one of the most important things when it comes to the pacing of a mid is what your soldiers doing, how fast they bomb. Do they go fast to commit and hinge it all on trying to kill the demo? Do they do fakes, or do they actually commit? What do they commit on? Do they try to go for the demo? Do they try to focus on the high ground, and stuff like that? And because one of the changes is, Kobe playing soldier for G6, I don't know the pace at which he's going to play. So it's kind of hard to say. You would kind of have to just guess blindly, really, on the style that they play to compare that to Witness Gaming in the first place. So I think it's kind of hard unless you know ahead of time. I think it's going to be a bit of a guessing game until we see a first couple rounds, honestly.
Yeah.
But I would give going back to the whole teams got to mesh. Witness Gaming has played this map time and time again with, for the most part, this roster, and G6 about the same, but just slightly less so. So I would still give a slight edge to Witness to try to get a hold over the mid fights.
Yeah, and one thing I did that you mentioned earlier that I'm thinking about now is one thing that could actually end up being the benefit of G6 is having Zilly as a main calling medic could actually help them a lot, especially with that early kind of synergy and coordination. It definitely helps if you have a strong main caller who knows what they're doing, and I think Zilly's definitely very, very capable of being a strong, dominant main caller who can really, just make sure his team's not doing dumb things. But I think that could definitely help in terms of getting over the new player kind of vibes and just the lack of synergy from just not playing together enough.
Man, that's probably a really important point. Honestly, even if G6 don't win this match and we don't get a winner's interview with them on their calling structure, I'm tempted to just message one of them on Steam and ask them, because that's a really important aspect to figuring out how they operate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Because it changes your
Yeah.
entire playstyle.
It really does. Yeah.
It
Especially
just comes
'cause-
down to who's calling the shots.
Yeah, especially because definitely some people prefer to play maps in slightly different ways. So you could have different main callers and end up with teams doing different things in the match. So it could, G6 could come out here with different playstyle just depending on who's actually calling the shots. Because I wouldn't say, I mean, I don't know how their team dynamic works, obviously, but I'd definitely say that Howard, their previous mech, was definitely a bit more on the quiet side, I would say, comparatively to Zilly. So I definitely, we might have a new team dynamic. Who knows? But
Yeah, I think that's what makes this the most, one of the more exciting matchups. It's one, you have the fact that it's early in the season, so things aren't necessarily figured out for all the teams, and especially if there's slight changes, it brings a fresh dynamic to people watching. And then the second, because of that, it kind of domino effects with you're not really sure what the end result is going to be. So I think we got a nice game on our hands. I put the 5-1 prediction for the side of Witness, but I mean, who knows? G6 will come out, all cylinders. They've done it before. They did it at LAN, so who knows?
Definitely very likely. And I do see I honestly I gotta give credit that G6 has a bunch of avatars, I suppose, like avatar profile pictures that I feel like that definitely could give them a little bit of synergy going forward.
A little extra power.
Yeah, a little extra power. And the Logan SpongeBob picture definitely also bringing a lot to the table.
The Steam profile synergy. We are going live, so we'll see how much that Steam profile synergy actually applies into the gameplay as G6 and Witness Gaming are beginning to roll out this RGL Invite 6's Season 9 Week 2A on process, and both domen have arrived at the mid.
Yeah, both demos are going to arrive on mid. No, nothing too much happening, just going to spam back and forth. We do see Soapy electing to take a little bit of ground on the left side, kind of look. No one's even bombed yet. Gold team just looking to spam. But here we do see the first bomb of Blast bombing up in there. He's actually going to land straight on his own pack. Just kind of a fake bomb as red team G6 is kind of taking the high ground here. Now they're finally starting to go in, but they're just happy to kind of sit here and no one's on the high ground. Okay, now they're on the high ground.
Yeah, Witness has not really taken the high ground in a serious manner this entire mid. It's just been that G6 playground owning it in its entirety. Art is caught out, surfing away. Maybe he gets an arrow and lives. He was at red HP, almost single digit maybe, and just still lives long as a sick arrow. And that's going to be enough, actually, to make sure the Witness is able to hold on to two. But G6 overall winning the mid, and they're already going in. They have a soldier bombing in, trying to go for the force. On to Artist again, see the disconnection between him and Logai, but will not find too much success, will end up dying. Scout initiation from the side of Caps, running forward off the damage, but nothing more will be done for the side of G6, but Witness on the move. They jump in and
catching up
immediately, immediately catches out Caps, which is huge. So 2 picks. That's going to be a lot for the side of Witness Gaming to work off of and maybe get the force out of Zilly, but they're kind of sitting by their own pack, the G6 side. They're making sure they have some room to initiate if they feel like it, and Logan, he's really aggressive. Uber comes out, Bahamut running forward onto Logai, takes roll, takes some damage, and will eventually use, but this Uber from the side of Witness Gaming is so much greater. The change down bot mode inside IT, Branson able to take him down, but Ash is going to fall, chasing a tad too deep, so overall 1-for-1 trade. Logan eventually dying, and Kobe as well. They are just falling like dominoes. Zilly half HP, Laz overstaying is welcome, but despite the scrappiness, Witness Gaming will still get a slight victory and reclaim the mid.
Yeah, Witness Gaming is going to deny the forwards here, which is huge, which means like if G6 gets those forwards, they're probably able to hold this point, but this is going to be a lot tougher now. You have the high bomb coming in, unable to get the much, but this is by a little bit of time for the respawns to come in. You have Sophie and Logan arriving at the battlefield, but there's a lot of hurt players on the side of G6. Zilly very hurt, he's going to end up leaving. Logan hurt as well. Ash going to try to bomb to speed up these players, but they're all just, they're dropping like flies, and Zilly actually got boned by Logai.
I didn't even notice that. I was about to say, the fact that Zilly got so hurt and was just stuck in the shutter meant he couldn't heal throughout that entire fight over the Spire, but then sealing the deal, Logai gets the arrow kill into Zilly, and now he has full Uber. They're looking to go either 3 or 4, and 4 it will be. Immediately popping in, Artist jumping towards the spawn, gets onto Kobe and will get them because there's no gun. The solar initiation coming from Sophie to try to make sure this point is blocked, but he's going to end up being fodder for his team, and that is a clean and concise round for the side of Witness Gaming.
Yeah, they lost the mid, and it still looked pretty dominant overall, you know. I feel like the mid was just Witness Gaming kind of electing to not take the high ground, so G6 just kind of shot down at them for the entirety of the mid. But regardless, I think it's going to be... That was a pretty clean round from Witness Gaming overall. I feel like they managed to parlay just a single sack into 2 picks into a round.
That feeling when both your pocket soldiers have 0 points. That's how you know it was quite the round. But
love to see it.
Things have kicked off. You have one of the soldiers on G6 playing a bit passive, and High Five's trying to take more high ground initially. Laz doing another fake bomb, as he does, to make sure that some space is created, and Branson is actually taking on top of the crate, gets blasted back, and will eventually survive. I thought he was going to die, actually, but it seems like he will get through it all. Logan dying to the stickies from Artist, and G6 is going to be the one that starts falling this time around. Kobe jumping back, make sure he collects the pack as Branson chases him down, but will eventually escape, just barely out the roll. Oh no, Ash just jumps and chases him down and collects the kill. So will be no solos there, and yeah, he's still spamming around, thinks there might be a gun coming up late, as not only is mid secured, but realistically 2 is pretty secured as well. They have so much room on 2 the side of Witness that it's going to be hard for G6 to break out. They got to bust through sticky.
They don't see the trap. They don't see the trap. Oh my god, there's 3 of them peeking. No!
They're on
dude, look at this trap. Oh, dude, he didn't work. He went so deep. Oh, that was... If he blind hits there, like... If Sin Karma's in the server, that's a free kill.
That's also true, yeah. But it is going to be a free 2, though.
Yeah. Regardless, we do have a... Looks like this game are going to have seconds, so yeah. It looks like we're going to settle down into a bit of a stalemate. So they did get the mid, but they are going to have to break this hold. And, you know, as we said before, the round time is smaller, so they only have 5 minutes to really get into lap before it resets to another mid fight.
But it is, was it just a level 1 that went down just a pistol? Okay, well, either way, it's a level 1 now. So if they have some room, they still got to spam it down a second time if they don't want to get gunned out of the sky, but at least it's not to the same degree. But Ash took a lot of damage trying to get arrowed up, and they actually depart out of lobby to make sure they don't end up running into a meat grinder. Realizing that they can't really force that sack right at that moment, they kind of dealt a bad hand and executed that pretty poorly. And G6, for now, their lockdown seems to be alright. They're playing relatively passive, though. They're not really at the door stuffing it. They kind of just have Logan that's, you know, can spam a bit, but no sniper or anything else to lock the end. They're really basing everything on the fact that if they try to bomb in, there is a gun that has to be dealt with, and dealing with it, they are trying. They're on the lip of the 5-door. Witness Gaming is trying to make sure this gun is spammed down, and bot mode just go ahead and brings it back. The rest of G6 runs forward to the doors to try to stuff them out, and they're buying some time off the clock, G6. Once again, we're at a situation with the 5-minute round timer that it is, you can hold well enough, just a couple of attempts is all Witness Gaming really gets before it starts to get crunch time, and they have to play really drastic, and G6 could just reset the round. So they're doing a good job holding for the side of G6 to Witness Gaming. They gotta actually find a way to get a sack going. Their attempts to spam down the gun have done only that. They have so poor health at the end of it, they can't actually get anyone in, and they gotta do much better if they want to find a whole lot of success here. Fine, looks like they're trying to peek some different doors this time around. They are able to get through one. High Five is through, using the wall as cover. Opposite side of where the gun is, so it cannot see them. They are taking a lot of damage, though, and immediately have to back up once again. But once again, yeah, gun goes down for the third time, but this time, Soapy, good job getting Artist for their defense, and now they're on the move and trying to use the fact that there is no stickies on this shutter.
Yeah, definitely, and that gun is such
soldier,
a... Oh, they are so hurt, but fortunately, Caps does manage to live there, almost a disaster. But yeah, that gun spot on Process Last is so annoying to deal with. I think it's definitely going to put the pressure on Witness Gaming here to really try to get in, because that gun is so obnoxious to deal with that by the time you get down, actually get in position to spam it, you could very easily lose a player, which is exactly what happened. So they definitely got to figure out a good strat for taking down this gun, because I've seen this gun single-A win matches, and as we said, they get in position and Branson immediately dies, and Ash is going to fall too.
Pulling the trigger real quick there, making sure he catches them before they're able to leave lobby, and now they got a little bit of an advantage to work with, although it is just one player net, so not really sure if they're going to go off of it, and it looks like they are not. That is not enough for them to really work off of. They do have the sniper, they are peeking inside one, but Logan alone, rollout, Laj just blind bombs it and pops him up into the air and is able to kill him, so no Doman for the side of G6. Bit of a disconnect there, and that's going to be enough to make sure they can actually spam down this gun without taking too much in return. They are peeking through 5, but high 5 immediately melting. Did not expect that aggressive gun position there. But
they get Artist.
Kobe, though, but they lost Artist a bit too deep, and they don't want to use to save Ash either. It's just Logai and Brainslam at opposite doors trying to meet up to the best they can, but G6 lost a lot too, so there is no chasing potential. It's just bloodbath after bloodbath, and so far, G6 are poking around a little bit, able to get some positioning here, but they do have the sniper that they have to worry about. Branson
have to try to fight the sniper, but
he's a bit
they're
low,
super close. Is he gonna fall?
High
five might have been baited in, but now they have 2 people caught in IT. Can these people get out and live? It looks like they are gonna successfully be able to get out. Well, almost, until Kobe taken out of the sky by an air shot from Brandslam. So, and then we're gonna be back on last, and Witness Gaming only have a minute 20 left to push, and they have a sniper.
Yeah, teams are a bit too evenly matched right now. They can't break through without losing too much, but the Uber exchange comes for the side of G6. Probably thought they could find a way to get through and surprise them they will. Able to get Branson and have one scout behind, but now the Uber will end from the side of Witness Gaming, able to get on the point and breaking through. G6 went so deep with their Uber over onto the enemy teams too. They left so much room for the side of Witness Gaming to go forward. That was so greedy, and it definitely paid off in Witness Gaming's favor, punishing the fact that G6 went on an adventure outside to the next point, even left some doors open. Witness Gaming got through and collects another round.
Yeah, I saw Zilly end that Uber in 2, and I was like, how did this happen? They definitely, it doesn't matter if you run behind them if you're invincible, I guess, but I kind of left some doors open for Witness Gaming to have just a better post fight. In the end, that is going to be a 2-0 for Witness Gaming, is, just that Uber exchange at the end really just sealed G6 there. Very unfortunate.
Yep, spam goes out across both teams on this third mid fight. No one's really taking the crate yet, afraid of the demo stand. Want to make sure they don't take it off too hard, but start to see Brainslam take it some with his team, but the initiation comes from the side of G6. Bot mode is really deep, just in between 5 players. It will melt, but in the distraction, Artist will fall, and the soldiers for the blue team are red health as well. Trying to eat Ears Laz like you, but Ash will not be so lucky as this 4v4 scenario continues over the point right now, as actually red team with the aggression, they start to back up as Hopemeister will not be able to get out in time, and maybe Logan might not either. Very weak, 35 HP, just barely escaping, but the chase is still on, but no, they're going to settle for what they've already achieved. Getting this point and Witness Gaming is able to win this mid.
Yeah, definitely a pretty clean mid from Witness Gaming overall, and what you like to see for Witness Gaming fan, they're kind of in the driver's seat here, up 2-0. They have even Ubers, so definitely a little bit better of a situation for G6, because now they have even Ubers on second as opposed to last, which is a lot less stressful to deal with. So
trying to break the even Uber scenario.
And they are, they're pressuring IT. I don't know if they're making space for because they only have Artist alone and Choke. Okay, now they have Laz and Choke. I think they're trying to make space so Laz can bomb through, but they're just kind of they have high-five hiding in a corner. Maybe that's the theory.
Yeah, I think they want to bomb Laz through Choke and high-five rush low or something. But I don't know if they're waiting for a rotation. Yeah, high-five's on the move.
Here's
now
Laz.
He's in. Yep, here's the 2-man. Trying to get at least one kill. Maybe force it
drop
on Zilly's head. You can't surf if there's a soldier on your head. That's going to be a drop.
Yeah, that was like, honestly, what a novel theory. The med can't surf if you just Goomba him, so he can't leave the ground. So heads up play from Laz there as Zilly gets Goomba'd, and that's the drop, which is definitely not ideal if you're G6, but Witness Gaming have the luxury of time here, so they're going to wait for a last come up so they can push with full Uber and 6 players. As G6 is basically already on last. They have a sentry coming up. They're just here to spam, realistically.
Yeah, they have some presence. There are some traps that will get dead over Al-Qaeda, so Witness Gaming will start to run through. The spam rains down over on a wall guy who's going to get hit a little bit, but it doesn't seem like the soldiers are really quite ready to bomb unless it's very, very late, as the entirety of Witness Gaming is pretty much already in the point, and yeah, everyone's gonna go ahead and back up. A Kobe might be caught, and no, spam's not enough to send him to the grave, but Witness Gaming, they have the Uber and they've had it for a long time. They're on the move. They take 2 for free and immediately popping before running towards the gun that's been there for ages. Art is immediately taken down. Stiggy's scattered across the point. Is chased over to the soldiers, bombing it in the air, trying to get over to the point side, but immediately Sophie will fall. Last taking some damage. ×4 on the cap, and the Heavy's not able to get there in time, and no mobility for the side of G6. Spent a little bit too early in Witness Gaming. Stacks that cap at just the right time to make sure they cap right under G6's noses.
Yeah, they had so much point pressure there that, it was kind of a lose-lose for G6. Either go to the point and die horribly, or you don't go to the point and let them cap. So in the end, pretty dominant half from Witness Gaming overall. I really wouldn't have very many complaints about it. They lost the first pit, but it happens sometimes, and they were able to win the next 2. So I think realistically for Witness Gaming, do you really have much to talk about? Like, you just kind of played well and won.
It's kind of
Maybe last
difficult.
fights.
It's kind of difficult in a half that lasts 12 minutes, realistically. Like,
Maybe other than like
even
how to spam the gun.
yeah, I mean, you look at the stats and you can't even like really take too much away from the stats because only one person got double-digit kills because it didn't last that long enough.
Yeah.
It was pretty decisive. I think if there's anything to take away that doesn't have to do with stats, realistically, is as a trend. It seems like both teams are able to make mistakes, and I think that's a testament to how that last went on for ages. Because one team would find a little bit of room and then it would just get taken away from them. But it definitely seems like that Witness Gaming is much better at punishing mistakes, which makes sense because they probably have a bit of a cohesion advantage with being really quick at making sure that they recognize mistakes and uh, punish them before the team can kind of hotfix it in the middle of the match. So
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that I feel like if you were even Ubers holding process last, the gun spot just like on top of the point or next to it was already really strong. With the 5-minute round timer, I feel like that makes that strat so much more annoying to deal with because you have much less time to just spam the gun. I feel like Witness Gaming almost got reset because of that, realistically. If that Uber exchange goes in G6's favor, they can just sit on last and reset to another mid fight.
yeah, like that Uber exchange was a good example of like Witness Gaming punishing greed because G6 just wanted to take a surprise Uber. They brought the Uber a little bit into 2 to like try to get a sniper kill and make sure that they could have player ad for a post. But the fact that they actually went away from their own last with the Uber meant that these players that were normally holding doors and had some sort of safety net in a team surrounding them, or like heals, or I guess in an Uber exchange, a flash, was no longer there. So Witness Gaming was free to, kind of poke around, try to get the gun, get room, and make sure that they could actually bust through and actually get through to start a DM fight for the post. Whereas if they maybe, I kind of feel like if they weren't so greedy and made sure their post ended like in their own, like where they were holding in the doorways, it would have been much more difficult for Witness Gaming to actually pour through.
Yeah, I do have to give a shout out to the Witness Gaming soldiers there. Even if you roll, going even or close to even on process soldier, that's always pretty impressive. It's concerning it's such a kind of dominant scout map, and especially only dying 5 times and process half of any length is honestly pretty impressive. So I gotta give a quick shout out to them for playing a pretty good half over, especially Laz. I feel like every time I see Laz, he's either being healthy or in the skybox.
Yeah, it's definitely tough for the G6 soldiers when you're on your own last with Dissat and you gotta bomb for the point, another to your stats. But
Yeah,
I think that's another testament of it's hard to look at the stats. Like a
it
lot
is.
of the Zilly deaths are gonna be from lost like mids and lasts and stuff. The Logan DPM difference compared to Artist. Artist gets all these pushes into last with that. Well, I guess it's not that many, but it's still a bit of a difference. It's hard to really hyper focus on them. I feel like if you're the G6 side, it's tough to have too much to like really look that's patterned. Like if you're playing a full 30-minute round, there's generally a lot that you can look back on and reflect on with your team to figure out like, all right, we definitely need to get better at this, this, and that. But with such little to go off of as a sample size, for how difficult it is for us to really like point out obvious things that we need to change, it's probably not like that much easier for the teams. Like they probably have a little bit of a better handle on it since they're the ones that are kind of playing and know like their intent versus the outcome. But it's probably not that easy of a feat to just be like, okay, yeah, we changed this and we're good to go. It's gonna be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like quick fix like a very simple. Oh, hey, you do this instead of this, and
Right.
all your problems are solved. There's a lot more things going on. that might require fixing. But regardless, we are into a new half here, so we'll have to see what new strategies they come out. We might see new strategy in mid. You know, G6 did win the first mid when they were just on the high ground the entire time, but after that, the mids weren't so clean for them.
Yeah, have to see if a plan B is enacted by either team, G6 out of desperation or Witness Gaming to keep them on their toes. But so far, you know, Witness Gaming have really flipped the script and making sure they have people on high ground. Allows a bomb in. Going to be probably another fake looping around onto one of the soldiers over on the blue crate. Kobe counter-initiating it, get a lot of damage to Brainstem. Gets dropped down to 1 HP at one point, but the rest of Witness Gaming is firing on all cylinders to make sure that they are safe behind their own rock. Damage on both sides. Some initiation from the side of G6 to try to take back the high ground, but for the most part, realistically, Witness Gaming has been in control of this high ground for most of this mid-fight. Kobe dropping really low 5 HP, but it's actually Witness Gaming that's going to lose a couple people and die to the spam from the side of Kobe and Caps. They're on the move back to their own choke because G6 is taking advantage of the space they have just gained, and I could have sworn that was going to be a Witness Gaming mid, but just in the blink of an eye, it's flipped around, and G6 is capping the mid.
I was watching Soapy that mid, and Soapy he almost had like a very Laz-esque mid, where he was just in the high ground and bombed a bunch. He went to go get a pack. Then he went back and did the same thing. And overall, I think G6 did a really good job preserving their lives and just making sure that nobody died in a really foolish manner. You know, I think that's really a strategy that made. And you know, eventually something shook loose. So maybe the more slower paced mids are working out for them.
Yeah, they do have bot mode on Sniper to try to break this stalemate. Classic in Sewer. It seems like they have some sort of an inkling because they do have the shutter sticking somewhat, but they've definitely seen him now, even though he hasn't really shot yet. So Ash
body shot on Artist.
Yep,
Artist is gonna be hurt. Yeah, Artist is just running away. Yeah. We'll see. Okay, there he gets a pick. So yeah, Witness Gaming just kind of have to sit back here and let bot mode take pot shots. They weren't really holding super close, so bot mode was just able to, you know, peek their shutter door. And when you body shot the demo, you know he's probably not holding the sticky super close. So regardless, now G6 just have that much more space to work with. You see here a bomb from Laz. He's getting shot. Both soldiers trying to play close, but in the end, Ash is gonna fall. Laz is hurt too, gonna fall away. There is a 1v1 happening choke. Bot mode versus Brandslam. Brandslam is gonna clean up bot mode, and he is behind, but now he's getting chased by a lot of gamers. But he manages to weasel his way out just so close in the. They got forced. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, lower IT play from one of the scouts. Yeah, actually, was that even Cap? I think it was Cap. It's a play coming in to make sure that Uber comes out. So Zilly has full Uber. Laz will go in and will be unable to make sure that force is taken away. So rest of Witness Gaming, taken out. Bit of a trade, but at the end of it, yeah, it's fine. It's inconsequential, really.
Yeah, so just
Ash
look
on the move. They're actually trying to fight.
Yeah, well, just the demo versus medic right now.
They're all respawners realistically. They're trying to go for the fact that only Logan and Zilly were really there, but Bombman has arrived, able to clean up Ash just in time. So gonna end up all for naught as Witness Gaming on last. Got the gun build up by Branson. High five on heavy, getting ready for the incoming Uber from the side of G6. They're poking around. It seems like 4 is going to be their door choice. Immediately going in on the only level 1, which will immediately die. Not going for the point time or scattering the stickies, but immediately getting on the Log Guy who will be caught. Question mark, caught? Okay,
it took a little bit, but they got him.
Yeah, eventually got him, but now onto the point.
Bomb on the point. He's getting double bombed, though. There's not really that much. Okay, they're starting to clean up. Brandslam hurt, Laz hurt, Ash hurt. They just got to clean up these players and secure this last down. They do have... Kills are even right now. There is one pick advantage. The heavy, can they get the heavy? Soapy does get the heavy, but just Laz, the last remaining survivor on last, is going to be able to push out a second. That is relatively successful last hold for Witness Gaming, but you know, at what cost? Just barely, and bot mode's back on Sniper.
Yeah, G6 was a bit split in their post, so it probably made things a bit difficult, but maybe they can turn things around with this bot mode Sniper. They're trying to poke through. They know they have some room, and getting Artist is a huge kill. No stickies to rain down for the side of G6, or onto them rather, and they're just sitting in grass. They're chilling. They know the Witness Gaming is going to have to leave, and they're already starting to poke around, see if they can maybe get Laz, but he is already all the way out. So just going to go ahead and recap too. Witness Gaming didn't hold on to that for too long. They technically have a really small ad to work with though, but I'm not really sure if either team is well aware of its existence.
It's like 20%. Like, it's not enough to push off of, but it's definitely 20%. So I don't know if Lokai just had a better spawner, or if he's just a super genius builder, but they're still actively building. So yeah, we'll see what they want to do with this. Maybe yeah, they do have actually. They know
it's that. Logai died way before Zilly did, which G6 did not think of that at all. That was not in the equation for them. Bomb onto Zilly, he will force.
They do get the force.
Get the force
3 for 1 to take those.
Yeah, trying to
get bomb and trying to get a spoon, unable to get the spoon, so he's gonna fall, and it's just Zilly and Caps trying to lead through choke as Witness Gaming is going to get that second point.
A lapse in judgment from G6. They thought they were totally fine, but you gotta keep in mind the timing of the medic deaths, and that's gonna lose not only them too, losing mid. They're playing off bot mode Sniper once again to see if he can Hail Mary and find a way to break out and find success. If he finds Artist again, this time from a headshot, so that could be enough for the dry fight to kick off. gonna get the players buffed up, initiation. Bot mode's just alone, and IT might get rushed down, but
He's getting rushed by 2, but he's able to call it. They are gonna back up. So, you know, they're not gonna. They didn't take the bait there and run to bot mode, and we probably reinforcements coming in. As they're gonna try to get through choke here. Ash gonna bomb, try to make space, and is gonna be able to get half of bot mode, just spin botting and choke. He's killing everybody. He gets 2 picks there, and bot mode sniper seems to be the recipe for success for now, at least. It's definitely making it a lot more close.
Yeah, it definitely appears to be their biggest boon for now. He's definitely popping off, and they're going to be able to deny these spawns, so Witness Gaming is only going to have 3 people at their disposal, which is definitely not enough to secure 2. So back to last they go. Going to get their players up. They know it's going to be an even stalemate at last. Got the gun building up. So much positioning already taken from the side of G6 with a sniper, and the stickies all over the shutter. That pretty much a free 2 for the side of G6, and now the shoe is on the other foot with, well, I guess we've technically been in this situation before, but the long stalemate was the other way around as G6 tries to find a way to break into last and get their first round on the board.
Yep, they do already have bot mode on sniper, and they don't have to worry about the surprise ad push into them, so... Honestly, I did say before the game started I was expecting big things from bot mode off class, and I'm already not disappointed. He's already done his job.
He's collected his highlight clip. He's good to go.
Mission accomplished. Everyone can go home.
But with 4.5 minutes to try to break into last, you gotta do a really good job in not only spamming the gun, but make sure your players are healthy enough to keep going after that. For as much spam that you put onto the gun, their soldiers are probably going to be proactive and put that spam onto you. Granted, you do have the sniper, so it makes it harder for these players to actually peek the doorways properly in some capacity to counter spam, but you gotta just try to do the best you can if you can manage it. Bot mode, over by 5, trying to go for a wide swing, go for a miracle play, but will not find success there. Double Soldiers going over there to clean up that kill and not finding too much else as the rest of the red team is backing up outside, content with the fact that the sack didn't work, and Witness Gaming are kind of on the move. They're poking around, but it didn't really look like anyone really wanted to go in. So just chilling at last, content. When I think Witness Gaming for now, they're gonna want something much bigger and better if they're gonna take a chance to push out of last or have someone die rather than the option of just letting the round reset.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually curious if we're going to see Witness Gaming just basically sit on last until it resets to a mid-fight. If they're the type of team that wants to push up. I do like if Soapy kind of hiding by this wall waiting for someone to get bored and peek. Okay, High Five is going to spot him, so he's going to back up. So it turns out Soapy's the one who got bored first. But regardless, the ball's in G6's court here to try to shake something loose. And as I said before, this gun spot, it's so annoying to deal with because you have to shoot the gun, which is like a 7th player. They just get the spam view. So it's inherently difficult to spam that gun and not have somebody just die somewhere.
Right. You gotta find a way to finagle it a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough. The angle's tough. It's a really powerful sentry spot. I don't know who came up with the tech originally, but regardless, it's very good technology. I do like how G6 kind of puts theirs a little below the point, and Witness Gaming looks to put theirs on top of the point. We got the slight flavors of it.
The most difficult thing is to make sure both your soldiers are buffed. You have to put them inside each other's hitbox. Otherwise, you're sacrificing a small you could do a tandem someone goes rollout and someone goes 5, and the rollout person is kind of left to their own devices and could get rushed after they expend their ammo. So it's a bit risky.
Yeah.
But it's up to G6 to decide how they want to go for this. And so far, they're playing very normal, I'd say, which is very.
Oh, there goes Soapy.
Soapy's behind, stuck in the corner. The corner is a safety spot from that gun spot area, but
the gun pushed him into there.
Yeah, gonna immediately melt for the most part. Unable to really get a whole lot, but the bomb from Ash is not really gonna find too much. Try to go for a sack, find an opportunity, but not quite good enough to be able to get onto Zilly. So 1 for 1 overall. Soapy respawning on Soldier, no one going back. So no off classes in G6's favor to work with, but they're immediately going onto the gun, bombing it, trying to spam it down with the scatter shot from the side of bot mode, but not gonna be able to get it to fall. But
they got gunned down.
There you go, from rollout. Branson was actually looking towards the soldier that bombed in, or the scout.
I lost 2 for it though, so that might bait Witness Gaming out into a push. And maybe that might have been their strat, honestly. I guess all right, we can't push last, but let's try to bait them into a crappy last push, and then we'll try to push out. We'll have to see what happens. Yeah, they found their way in. Nobody's popped Ubers yet, but it looks like Zilly is going to get forced by Laz, kind of working his way in.
For now.
Laz is living. He's going to get cleaned up by Soapy in IT. Witness Gaming is going to pop their Uber, but it's going to be a little bit later in. Soapy gets 2, he gets Ash as well, so that's going to be huge. They're down both soldiers, means only Artist is the real spam class here to try to prevent this dry push that is hopefully coming into last as G6 is going to stream through the 5 door.
Yeah, but I gotta win this fast because in 3 seconds their player ad turns into disad, so definitely
Point
have to
time.
stack the cap and win this super fast. Artist
Billy on the
is
cap.
the furthest person forward on his team. He just immediately melts. They have the soldiers, but they've lost their dome, and could this be a mistake from the side of Witness Gaming in their positioning? Only 2 left alive, and Logeye can't defend against the 3 remaining, and a slight positional mishap from the side of Witness Gaming makes G6 have smooth sailing to do that dry straight into last and collect their first round on the board.
That is what, I did say, if we can't push last, let's hope they beef their push out of last. And apparently I'm just Nostradamus, because that's exactly what happened. They were just like, alright, let's just double sec and hope they just, kill blind on their way out of last. Mission accomplished.
Bot mode was on spy for like 2 seconds in the beginning of this round. I wonder if he was checking anything. Maybe Medigun? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I do see okay, it does look like he is on Medigun. It's always good to know in advance the Highlander strats, as they say. And
on that become a Chris to mid. You never know. But
yeah, it's always good to check. We do have both scouts on the high ground here from Witness Gaming. They're trying to spam, whereas G6 is kind of playing further back, kind of by their own choke, a little in front of the rock. Zilly's going to actually eat a pipe or something. He's hurt. I think off of that damage, they're going to try to bomb to make space. Looks like Witness Gaming kind of have all the space right now. There goes 3 kills in the way of Witness Gaming, and G6 is going to have to back up. So, G6 did get on the board, but how long can they keep remaining in this match?
Yeah, but it definitely feels like Witness Gaming have taken the time to figure out how they alter their mids to have them be more and more dominant over time. At the beginning, it was really rough for them to hold down the high ground, but now it just seems like another day at the office for them, really. So, free, not too well contested mid, free second from the side of Witness, and now trying to break in and break a stalemate rather. Now we're actually dating on. This is where the first stalemate really went down, but this is actually went much quicker than the previous time, getting Soapy, so it's a big opening, but can they find the way to work in even more? Actually, a bot mode pretty aggressive to try to spam them down.
The Buddhist is kind of, he's doing a lot of work. Like, he does take a lot of heal resources, but he's doing a lot of, there's artists, they're going to get, they're trading 3 for 2, it looks like, so in the end, this is going to favor G6. They only really lost bot mode. Whoever the original pick was, I think it was Soapy, was able to spawn because that fight just got delayed, so this could be a 5v3 pushing out of last.
And they're trying to go for it. They know that if they Uber exchange here and at least get something like decently respectable, they can come in with respawners later. And in fact, here the respawners come now, although they do have a soldier. Sophie is behind, trying to bring down the pain on the people rolling out, but immediately you have 1 from each side.
Spoon!
Right off the bat, but Market Gardner comes in, taking out Artist, which is very, very big.
Gonna fall. It's just 2 up.
But they've lost so much.
And Zilly's gonna fall. It's just Logan. He can't even, that's gonna be a round for... It seems that pushing out of last is much more stressful than just... I wouldn't be surprised if whoever gets stuck on last here doesn't just park the bus, because it's been rough pushing out of last. We've seen a bunch of rounds go just from teams trying to push out of last and beefing 2 in a row.
The margins at which you decide to push last by are very thin. You have to make sure that there's no way that they can come out and try to find a way to buy time. They had the Uber to work with. They dropped one of their players in the exchange, and that's enough to make sure that this post works out for the side of Witness and gets them around. But this could be the last mid. If G6 don't get a handle on things immediately, we're seeing a repeat. Witness Gaming is just owning both crates for the most part. Caps is trying to show a little bit of presence, but Artist is just on the point. No cares in the world.
Kobe in the skybot.
Will actually commit on the log guy, but will not get any damage to call for it. Sam getting some initiation, looping around. On Zilly, stuck in the corner, trying to clean up, and will get that medic frag after the whole distraction. Will be a martyr for his team, but they start to work their way back through choke with the medic pick they do have, but Soapy is behind. If this takes too long, he might loop around, but he's a little bit too late, and they fake out and leave after they come in. They came through choke and left through sewer, and now are about to walk through choke again. Just playing a ring around the road and playing mind games with the side of G6, but carnage is still happening over the nooks and crannies on all sides of the map. But Soapy and bot mode, being the most recent frags, are going to kind of end this for the side of G6.
Got the point.
They do get the cap technically, but it's not in time for them to actually gain any benefit from forward spawners. 8 seconds, that's not fast enough. This cap's gonna go away with Witness Gaming. Getting their Uber situated, and they're in a pretty good spot to maybe even get 2 for free. G6 don't have the resources to really prevent this. They only at 4 versus 6. They're immediately going through IT. Actually, are they going to be able to get any frags at all? On the Logan, very weak. Soapy dying from it. They still get low with the scout speed. Make sure they can chase those kills.
Picks.
And Kobe dying as well. It's a disaster for the side of G6. Unable to hold down the fort, and only 3 players to the name.
They're fighting second. Oh, this is smart. I like this.
They know their only play is to block the Witness Gaming. They're only barely prepared for it. 2 weak players on the Spire, and it's going to bring the entire side of Witness Gaming back. They will lose
93%,
Zilly
he
and
died.
Caps, and it's not going to work out in their favor. But realistically, this might be better than the alternative that would have been. It could have been a free round for the side of Witness Game, but now they have to come against a full lockdown squad. But Sophie going in, trying to catch someone out of surprise and will not claim the kill on Ash. They've only barely gotten him as Logan spams him down, but this might be all she wrote. G6 falling like dominoes, and Witness Gaming still end up taking the last round.
I like the theory there of I actually didn't mind that theory of Caps and Zilly pushing out the block second. I think that's one of those things you kind of have to do if you want to, like, you have to go for some sort of risky play there. It just unfortunately didn't work out. They, if they get that Uber and can hold on the point, they get better high ground instead of like getting stuck on the low ground and being sad. I think that could have gone a lot better. But regardless, that is going to be a 5-1 for Witness Gaming. So it looks like you were right in the end, Jared. Correct
Let's
prediction.
go. Yeah, realistically, that was their only play. Like they don't win a 3v6. They can't lock them down. They can't defend the point. They have to block. And I don't think Witness Gaming was really prepared to think about that.
I think it was more execution on G6's part there.
Yeah, they just weren't able to block in time. Weren't able to get the Uber. A bit unfortunate, but good effort.
Yeah, shout out to the correct predictors. I think I saw Alec in there actually. Shout out to Alec and Dolphin. You can see that the script just went according to the script. There is Dolphin also was a correct predictor.
But taking a bit of look at the stats, you can kind of see High Five has been topping out the kills for in both scenarios. When you just look at what happened in the first half and compare to now, he's definitely doing a lot for his team to make sure that he's filling the role of the flank scout. I collect the kills and flank around and make sure they're dead in the grave. So good job on his part. But Logan's actually he stepped up a bit. I think Logan was kind of lacking in the DPM department in the previous round the previous half because of how quick things went on, and he definitely held down the fort for his team and made sure that the other Witness was weak enough to at least collect some momentum and some aspects and even get that round. So signs of life.
Yeah, no, Logan did very well, though. He also did kind of eat a bajillion heals, but, sometimes you gotta play tank demo. Sometimes the game flows like that. I feel like, especially on Process, sometimes you just gotta eat. I don't know. That map's impossible.
Sometimes it just depends on, like, who they're focus firing. You play demo and you're not getting shot, you don't really need the heals, but if their strategy is kill the demo in these fights, then you might need a little bit more than, you might initially expect, but at the end of the day, Witness Gaming coming out strong. G6 had some signs of life there, but they're definitely still, going through some growing pains and trying to figure out how they want to operate and how they want to consistently beat Witness. But I think at the end of the day, Witness overall going to be happy, and G6. I mean, you want to win, but I don't think they're necessarily unhappy. Like I
don't think they're distraught or anything.
Yeah, you're not distraught. Regular season, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily
especially early on,
what your playoffs is going to be like, so you always got to keep that in mind. And I think at this point, these teams have played long enough where they kind of know that one match isn't necessarily a representation of your whole season. So I'm curious to see how they're going to grow, especially because they are the team that has to figure their stuff out probably more so than Witness. What's it's going to be like the next time we see them play. It could be a totally different, team in the server for all we know. Not literally, but you know what I mean, figuratively.
Yeah. And definitely think it goes to show how dominant Witness Gaming is on Process. I think they've, as we said in the past, I think Witness Gaming, other than against Freya maybe, Witness has overall been extremely dominant on this map. So definitely goes to show this is not a map you want to play against them unless you're very confident in your abilities.
Yep, you gotta definitely know how to beat them before you pick this map against them, at least for now. But we'll see how the teams progress throughout the season. All it takes is maybe 1 or 2 epiphanies on playstyles and figuring out hard counters and making sure you have refined plan A's and B's to, kind of put a team in their place. So we'll see how things transgress. I think with a slightly shorter season, because there's only 8 teams, we're probably not waiting too much longer until we're not waiting the full 4 weeks, probably more like 3 weeks before we see them play again. So that could be exciting for us to see, but it also might not be as big of a gap as normal in between, like time-based, for them to really grow tons. So we'll see how things go. It's still a respectable amount of time. You can figure out a lot of things in that amount of time. Almost a month.
Yeah, also shout out to Wall Guy 1 and 2. Almost went dead even, which is honestly, on any map it's impressive. But Process, I think, is a very good medic map for, like, if you team wipes, you can't do that much about it. But keeping yourself alive in fights and extending yourself, definitely a good map for that. So Wall Guy with the 1 and 2, quite clean. Now then,
and the combine makes High Five stats look even more insane with the fact that he cleaned up real well.
It's scout on Process. No one can. It's scout on Process.
True.
On that note, no, I guess I don't think we have any interviews. Witness generally doesn't like doing interviews, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. So, I guess on that note, do you have any shoutouts or merch, maybe?
Uh, there's a classic merch call. Merch is always available. We say this pretty much every every cast, but it's always good to remind people. I think the switch from these designs compared to newer designs is going to be when RGL Land kicks off. So if you're looking for a timetable of how long do I have until these go away, that's about it. End of the season, and then you'll have new stuff to take a look at and see if that gauges your interest. As always, it's important to note that this is going to be a land season, so it's going to be really hype. But for this season in particular, the playoffs are going to be really important, as all the teams are going to not all the teams, but all the teams that get into playoffs, the top four, are going to go ahead and go to land to duke it out for the playoffs runs. So that's always going to be nice to see. But I think there's too much to really tell. That's going to be it for the day. Don't think there's a cast tomorrow. There is one on Thursday. It's going to be Angie versus Witness, and Angie is going to be like the speedy Shemu, Ether, Kev team. I think
Yeah,
he has like two people from the Cozy Brothers and two people from Mal.
it's one of
Um,
those fusion teams you see
so
every once
yeah,
in a while.
it's like a portion of last season's fourth place team and fifth place team fused together. So they are going to be one of the other playoff contenders they were going to be watching. The last week we kind of just watched the Turtles to see what they were we're all about. And this time we get a sneak peek at Angie, and then hopefully later on, we in later weeks we'll see them go against each other to see who's really vying for at bare minimum the fourth seed. So it's going to be an important match if you're curious to see what they can bring to the table and what they're like. So definitely don't want to miss that if that piques your interest at all. It's going to be Thursday normal times, 11 EST as always. But I think that's going to be pretty much it, Space.
Yeah,
And any
definitely.
other things?
I'll just give some quick shoutouts. Shout out to everyone watching. Shout out to both teams playing a good game. Shout out to just the viewers and everyone else. I always enjoy casting. Always enjoy watching as a viewer. Great for everyone. Any shout outs from you, Jared?
Yep. I'll parrot the shout out to the viewers for watching and everything, everyone buying the merch. Shout out to maybe like the two people that don't watch Highlander but watched it because they saw that we were playing.
Never happened. Don't know what you're talking
Never
about.
happened. Yeah, didn't happen.
I played perfectly, and SVS is not a real stat.
All right, but that's gonna be it for us tonight. Excited to see you guys Thursday, hopefully, and thank you all for watching. I've been Jarrett, casting with Space Ghost with Dolphin on production. Thank you and good night.
Good night.